One of the many bands that emerged during the grunge scene in America of the early 90s was the Stone Temple Pilots. Stone Temple Pilots, often abbreviated STP, formed in San Diego, California in 1989. The band's original members consisted of Scott Weiland, who was their lead vocals, Dean DeLeo, who played guitar, his brother Robert DeLeo, who played bass as well as backing vocals, and Eric Kretz, who was on the drums. SCP was mostly active from 1989 to 2002, where they released 5 studio albums, and after hiatus, they reconvened in 2008, where they released a self-titled album in 2010. Weiland, the lead singer, was actually replaced by Chester Bennington of Linkin Park in 2013. Bennington only stayed for a few years and left in 2015. SCP's music mostly is classified as grunge, but they have also been categorized under alternative rock, classic rock, and even psychedelic rock. They really tried to explore their talents and didn't limit themselves to just one genre. Scott Richard Klein, usually known as Scott Weiland, was born on October 27, 1967, in San Jose, California. Weiland was the lead singer of the Stone Temple Pilots for most of their time together, and during SCP's hiatus, he actually left and joined Velvet Revolver, another band. After reconvening with STP in 2008, Weiland was actually fired in 2013 due to complications amongst band members. He was then replaced by Chester Bennington of Linkin Park until 2015. During his time in STP, it has been revealed that Weiland had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and he also suffered from a highly publicized drug addiction. Unfortunately, this addiction led to his death on December 3, 2015. He was found dead from an overdose on a tour bus of his other project, The Wildabouts, in Minnesota. One of the band's most famous songs was Plush. It was the second single off their debut album Core, which was released in 1992. The single wasn't released though until 1993 and was composed by Weiland himself as well as Robert DeLeo. Plush had received numerous awards and accolades, including the 1994 Grammy for Best Hard Rock Performance, and it even earned the band an MTV Video Music Award for Best New Artist in 1994. The song features typical instruments of a rock band: vocals, guitar, bass, drums. But despite being a sad song, it's performed in a major key. The song carries a dark, heavy, and grungy sound to it, and it's mostly homophonic. The lyrics are supposedly based off of a news article Weiland had read about a small girl who was found dead outside of San Diego. But Weiland also included that the song could be a metaphor for a failed relationship. Some interesting facts about the song is that its notable riff and chord structure were inspired by DeLeo's love of ragtime music. The song title is also never mentioned once in the song. It is unknown on whether this is intentional or not. Perhaps the Stone Temple Pilots want to leave the interpretation of the song title up to the listener. It was originally performed as an acoustic and mellow version in December of 1992 at the MTV Studios, following a concert tour with Rage Against the Machine. Fans bought the album later on and were in for quite a surprise when they realized it was much more harsh and grungy compared to their much more relaxed version that they had played earlier. Plush earned SCP its only Grammy as well. There's also an acoustic version, which is the most popular and most widely played version of the song. Weiland starts out with "This is a song called Plush" in the beginning of the acoustic version. Let's take a listen to the album version of Stone Temple Pilots' Plush and really get a feel for Weiland's raw emotion in the song, and see just how the lyrics and music go hand in hand with the true meaning of the song about the missing girl, as well as Weiland's interpretation of the song, referring to the metaphorical failed relationship. Right from the beginning, the song comes in heavy, with the drums, guitar, and bass all being heard. It's played loudly and really grabs the listener's attention. At around 25 seconds, the guitar and bass decrease in volume and sort of die down a little bit, and the drums become much more prominent for just a few seconds. But that's only until 29 seconds, where Weiland comes in with the vocals and takes over the melody. He mostly keeps a steady pitch until he raises it around 36 seconds. He emphasizes the word tomorrow and holds it out until the words I see, going back down to the original pitch afterward. In regards to the metaphorical interpretation of the song, Weiland may already see that the relationship is going downhill, possibly due to trust issues. Now, for most of the song, the drums were being used as the beat, but changed their rhythm around 47 seconds to fit alongside the melody, and a slight guitar riff can be heard. Throughout most of the song, the vocals are deep and raw, but they become even more harsh as the song progresses into the pre-chorus around 50 seconds. The harshness goes along well with the lyrics, showing the intense emotion behind the song. Weiland once again raises the pitch at 116 when he exclaims, and I feel, really trying to emphasize the emotion behind this song. Now, at 127, we return back to this intro motive, where the drums are banging heavily and the guitar and bass can be distinctly heard. Moving along, at 1 minute and 39 seconds, the guitar and bass both back out, and it's just the drums for a few seconds. The drums decrease in volume and eventually stop altogether. They almost immediately start back up. This decline and quick recovery could be reminiscent of the metaphorical relationship Weiland may be singing about. Just when you think the feelings are gone or that you've moved on, you may find out that it is so very easy for all the emotions to come flooding back. In the second verse, around 151, Weiland raises his voice and pitch again, similar to how he did earlier in the previous chorus. He begins to go up when he says the word bedroom and continues for a few words. But rather than going back down to the original pitch like how he did in the first verse, he continues to remain in that pitch when he sings that these are the eyes of disarray, really holding that note out. Perhaps Weiland really wants to emphasize this part because he no longer knows if his ex-partner truly cares about him. He's a mess and emotional. There's most likely crying, hence the raining in your bedroom lyrics. He's unsure on whether she cares about him anymore, and most people who have had their heart broken before can relate to this struggle. We return to the pre-chorus around 2 minutes and 5 seconds. However, rather than repeating, I feel it, he now says, she feels it, showing that there may be some pain in the other person's heart, and that maybe this failed relationship affected both partners. At 2:42, we get introduced to a new part in the chorus. This is probably the height of the song thus far. There are a lot of repeated words and phrases in this part, including the word time and to find it. Weiland probably sings the highest at this part in terms of pitch and dynamics. He really screams this section with power, pouring out all his emotions into the words. This part can be interpreted in several ways. You could look at it in the sense that the dogs may refer to the police search for this missing girl mentioned in the newspaper, or the dogs may be referring to men looking for a pure girl, perhaps like his ex-partner. At the end of the chorus, around 3 minutes and 7 seconds, the instruments slow down in tempo to the point of basically pausing. They immediately are followed up by the intro part again, with just a slightly higher pitch. Perhaps things may be changing. The drums fade out, followed by the guitar at around 3:35, and the song seems as though it is over, until the drums start back up again and the vocals and instruments go right back into the chorus. Like earlier, the painted search may never be over. There is always a way back to the original feelings. As we approach the ending of the song, Weiland really starts emptying his emotions into the music. At 4 minutes, he carries out the words, Will she smell alone, for longer, and raises it to higher notes, which is unlike his previous chorus. He carries this into the next chorus as well. There is no telling on whether he was referring to the little girl dying alone, or the metaphorical ex-partner being chased by the sex-driven men often labeled as dogs, noticing she is vulnerable. However, both seem to make sense as he really makes his part stand out. At 4:26, instead of dying out with "to find it," like how he does previously in the choruses, Weiland carries it out for longer and to higher notes. The tempo of the instruments also slow down again until 4:32 when they start back up with the intro motive. However, this part includes the words "to find it" 3 times, whereas when the intro part was played earlier, there were no vocal parts at all. At around 4:53, the last note is held for about 5 seconds. It has the most power out of any part of the song, and the raw emotions can really be felt the greatest at this point. The drums finish up right after that at 4:58, and the guitar is held out till the end. Overall, the song is a great collaboration of all the members in the band. Every instrument seemed to shine and have its part somewhere along the way during the song. The melody transitioned back and forth between the vocals and guitar for most of the piece, with the drums and bass consistently providing harmony in the background. Stone Temple Pilots did a nice job of conveying their story to the audience, whether that be about the little girl that they found or the failed relationship. The harshness of not only the lyrics but the rock instruments brought the idea of how unforgiving this world can be. This goes along well with both interpretations of the song. Love isn't easy, and the truth in reality may hurt. Stone Temple Pilots also make use of a lot of analogies and metaphors throughout the song, referring to men as dogs and crying as rain. Even with these, it's easy to tell that this song has pain behind it. Weiland's screams and callous vocals really hit the nail on the head. The intense emotions can be heard, and it goes hand in hand with the meaning of the song. With him being the only vocals in Plush, the power of the song comes from one side, showing just how people can suffer differently. One notable thing to mention is that the recurring intro motif was featured prominently throughout the piece. Let's take a listen to it one last time. It brings the listener back to the beginning every time it's heard. STP could have tried to make the audience feel the grief that the main character may have been feeling in the song. Like earlier, it's so easy to just fall right back to the beginning of everything. One small thing could bring you back to when it all started. Perhaps even finding a small plush toy that belonged to a little girl can bring back emotions one had thought they had left behind. Plush really is one of the band's best works. It signifies something so much deeper and brings attention to how cruel this world can truly be to the audience. This was a career-defining move on Stone Temple Pilots' part. Plush, along with the rest of Core, set the stage for them and the Seattle grunge era of the United States. They really made a name for themselves with their debut album, and with this being one of the singles, good things were bound to come. This song truly is a work of art in all that it brings to the table. Weiland and all the members of STP really turned a deep, dark issue into a musical piece with so much emotion and power. It was well deserved of its praise and accolades. It's a shame music like this isn't heard on the radio of today.